Hello everyone, it's Michael-Lyn and I am doing my first booktube video in like a month. You might notice that I have rearranged my shelf a little bit to do a sort of rainbow color thing. The purpose of this video today is to do my November wrap up. So the first book I read in November was Before We Were Strangers by Renee Carlino. It follows a man named Matt who is 36 years old and sort of stuck in the past, and we find out that that's probably because him and his former flame from college, Grace, parted ways pretty suddenly. So everything sort of changes when he sees her on the subway getting into a train. All he's able to say is her name. She's like, and then she ends up moving, and it's like, will I ever see her again? So there's a missed connections aspect. If you're into like second chance romance stories, I would definitely recommend this one. Next was the incredibly tiny tease of a storybook thing by Gillian Flynn, who you probably know is the author of Gone Girl. It follows a woman who, I'm gonna just come right out and say it, her job is to give guys hand jobs at this palm reading place. That's like the front for the place, although they do have some fortune telling and palm reading in the front. And that's how this story begins, because she starts to do that, and this woman comes up to her and is like, I feel like my house is haunted, can you cleanse it for me, blah blah blah. And that's how this whole thing gets started. This is Gillian Flynn's take on a ghost story. I think I gave it 3 stars only because it was such a tease and all of the action happened way too fast. Then I read the graphic novel Blue is the Warmest Color by Julie Moreau. It's about a girl named Clementine who spots this girl who we find out is named Emma, who has blue hair, and that really sparks this realization in Clementine that she is a lesbian. And so the graphic novel really chronicles her coming to terms with that, but also her relationship with Emma. I gave this 3 stars because it felt kind of rushed at times. It hopped forward into the future, and I was like, wait, why is this happening, and what got us to this point? It would not be a wrap-up if I didn't have a book by Colleen Hoover to share with you. This is a really great story about 2 people who meet when they're 18 on November 9th. And they have this wonderful day, so they decide to meet up every year on the 9th without any contact. And so we only really get to see them on November 9th for 5 or 6 years. There's so much more to the story, as there always is with Colleen Hoover's books, and that's all I want to say. But I absolutely loved it. I gave it 4 stars. Then I read The Truth Commission by Susan Juby, and this book was really great. The point of the story is our main character, Normandy Pale, her 2 best friends have decided to confront people at the art school they go to. They would just go up to people and ask them kind of invasive questions to get the truth, because they feel like that opens the forum for being truthful and being honest. And Normandy is quite suspicious of doing this, especially since her sister has come home, has not explained why, and seems to be acting really strange and confiding in Normandy something sort of traumatic that happened to her. So Normandy isn't sure she can handle the truth or these secrets. That's really all I want to say about that book, but I gave this 4 stars, I'm pretty sure. I really enjoyed it. Next up was another graphic novel, although this one is a memoir, and it's called Honor Girl by Maggie Thrash. Honor Girl is the experience that Maggie Thrash had 1 year at summer camp when she fell for a female camp counselor and of course came to the realization that she is gay. I gave this 3 stars. It's a good story. It's a slice of life story. That's this woman's truth. And I hated the illustrations. They were done, I don't know if you could see this, with like colored pencil. It seemed like I was looking at someone's coloring sheets, and I also got all of the characters confused because they all seemed to look alike, and that really bothered me. Then I read Night Owls by Jen Bennett. This book was actually released in the US recently as The Anatomical Shape of a Heart. I personally loved this cover and this title and the beautiful dusty gold font, so I decided to order a copy, which is the UK edition. This is a YA contemporary romance about a girl named Beatrix who meets a dashing, kind of secretive boy named Jackson on the Owl bus in San Francisco one night when they're basically doing things they shouldn't be doing. She was having an interview that she lied to her mom about, and Jackson, as Beatrix finds out, has a bottle of gold spray paint in his bag, and gold spray paint actually happens to be making its way graffitied all over the city, and the person who is doing it is wanted as a felon. So yeah, but this is the story of how they confide in each other, become friends, and obviously fall for each other. When I got to like the middle point, my heart just started to burst. Like, I was in it and I was just loving their connection, and it's just one of those feel-good stories. I gave it 4 stars and would definitely recommend it if you are looking for a YA contemporary. Just don't forget that if you do want the American version, it is called The Anatomical Shape of a Heart. I read another graphic novel called In Real Life by, what's this guy's name, Cory Doctorow and Jen Wang. It is about a girl who has just moved to Arizona and through school gets invited to do one of those massive multiplayer games online. Through that, she has fun and finds herself, you know, getting sort of strengthened by how strong she is in the game. She meets this gold miner character who lives in China and who does that as his job. But she finds out that this guy is being treated terribly at work. Kind of a heavy story for what does not look like a heavy story. I liked the message of it. I liked that community aspect. So that was really interesting. I gave it 3 stars. Next up was Vanishing Girls by Lauren Oliver. Vanishing Girls is about 2 sisters, Nick and Dara, who are never the same after they are in a car accident. And Nick really wants them to come together and be the sisters and friends that they once were. There is a 9-year-old girl who is missing, and through some investigation, Nick sees that there might be a connection between that person and Dara and needs to figure out where she went and is trying to solve this mystery. Whatever. This book is 362 pages, I believe, and I really feel like it could have been at least 100 pages shorter. Like, I thought it was 100% predictable, which was such a bummer. I gave it 2 stars. It was really hard to trek through, especially once I was like, this is obviously what happens, and why do I have to read 150 more pages or more to get to the conclusion? Second to last was Relish My Life in the Kitchen by Lucy Nisley. It's all about Lucy Nisley's life, so it is like a memoir, and it describes how these particular dishes remind her of various instances in her life. And then finally, I read Speak by Laurie Halse Anderson. This book is like 15 years old, and I am twice the age of the main character, Melinda. I feel like most people know the point of this story, but basically Melinda has been outcasted because she called the cops on an end of the summer party. What everybody doesn't know is that Melinda was raped at the party and was like, I really just need to read this. I've never read any Laurie Halse Anderson. I especially have not read this definitive and important novel. I absolutely loved it, and I'm closer to being a parent than to being a child. And what I took away from this was how important it is to listen. You know, most people are so afraid of the truth or would rather not deal with these hard times and kind of ignore the warning signs in front of them. I want to be a good parent because of this book, and I really recommend reading this if you haven't. It's an important story. If you can get your hands on one of the later editions, this is the 15th anniversary edition, there's some great info about what to do if someone comes to you telling you that they have been sexually assaulted. There's an interview with Laurie Halse Anderson about why she wrote this story, and I just overall loved it. Those are all the books I read in November. So I will see you guys next time.